All right, we're going to switch it up. We're going to be talking about the earnings report. Both Uber and Lyft have very, very different earnings reports that came out this past for this past quarter. And the funny thing is, I think it was episode 1 or 2 or something. We were talking about the big tree. Uber's the big tree, and then Lyft is the little tree that never got the sun. It's always just stunted and gross. Well, here's the exact thing right here. You see Uber's tree. It's big. It's beautiful. It's in the sun. It's feeling happy and it's good. And then you see that little dying tree right there called Lyft.
That's Charlie Brown.
Yeah. And this is, a couple weeks ago we talked about Lyft's going through a possible bankruptcy or being bought out, likely by 2024. This past earnings report probably confirms that a little bit when it comes down to it. Uber, they decided to take on a couple of things with Uber Eats, Connect, all these different avenues that they're trying to make money on. Lyft just decided to say, hey, we're going to be a one-trick pony and we're going to stick to that. And you know what? Yeah, well,
Lyft does delivery though. I've had a couple of deliveries with Lyft, ironically. So they're trying to get into the delivery market. A lot of people just aren't using it. They just don't trust it.
They have a little bit, but they tried it. But beyond that, they decided to stick to one real trick, and that's really about it. And it might be their days may be numbered, especially with this past earnings report. So let's get into Uber's real quick.
Yeah, that delivery thing is too little, too late. They're just not gonna, not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I listened to both conference calls. Gonna go real fast. Look, Uber's hitting in all cylinders, according to their CEOs. Let me tell you something. I dug deep with my professor friend Len Sherman on this for quite a while after we listened to the conference call. There is a lot of fuzzy math. If you understand, this accounting shenanigans that they're pulling, they use something called EBITDA, right? EBITDA means earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. That does not exist in the real world, because if it existed in the real world, I'd be Brad Pitt sitting here, okay? So EBITDA, according to EBITDA, I'm like, Brad Pitt. It's not true. I don't look like Brad Pitt, and I never will. So to me, they pulled all the levers that's available to them, okay? They included some of their overseas investments. They made the revenues look good. The only thing that helped them is that they have cut incentives and quests and bonuses, as we all know, talked about in the past, quite drastically. And what they do is they put that in their sales and marketing expenses. So their sales and marketing expenses went down. Jeff, you know about these shenanigans that you can play when it comes to accounting and earnings.
Exactly.
And then what happened is that boosted their revenue because they paid out less, because there is shit ton of drivers out there. Everybody and their uncle is driving, so they don't have to put any quests because people are going to accept these trips anyway.
Exactly.
But again, they grew their business. Now they're almost at a 50-50 clip when it comes to between mobility, which is rideshare, and delivery. Their balance is good. That network effect they talk about, that the drivers can earn more on their platforms. They can drive, a little bit rideshare in the morning, switch to food delivery. When rideshare is slow, then back to rideshare, back to food delivery. The power of the platform is working for them. The other thing that they did wonderfully is they doubled their Uber One membership, which is their membership, which you don't get much out of it but it's $9.99 a month. And, they doubled it from 6 million subs to 12 million subs, which is amazing. The other two things that blew my head was, I thought they had reached scale, right? So they grew their MAUs, or MAUs mean monthly active users or monthly active paying customer base, another 11% to 132 million people. There's only 168 million adults in the US. So pretty much they have reached scale to the 75-80% level. Everything they have done, according to their CEOs, was positive. And you know what? Look, stock did go up a little bit and then come back down again because Lyft was so horrible. But I studied the numbers. If you guys want to get deep into this, send me an email and I'll send you my response. But CEO was beaming, CFO was beaming, strongest quarter ever, as you guys see in the middle screenshot, strongest year ever. Everything is wonderful. We have shit ton of drivers driving for us. And here's the number that blew my mind. Okay. New milestone and hit 2 billion trips in a single quarter, averaging 1 million trips per hour.
How many times is that?
That's a trip, not dollars, bro. a trip.
How much,
1 million trips.
I know 2 billion trips, but how many dimes is that out of the nickel and diming drivers and riders?
That again. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know what? If they do that negative equity thing, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. That's why I put money into Uber stock, and it's been going up.
Oh, bro.
And then I was gonna put a short in for Lyft stock, and I completely forgot about that.
You should have done that.
And they just that earnings
could have made tons of money.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you should have.
It
done
dropped
that.
like 30%.
Yeah. Just like that too. It was so quick. It dropped. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Billions made.
This is kind of what we've been talking about. Uber has branched out into different things, as you can see in that tree. It's growing. It's big. It's luscious. It's green. And then
I'm going to use that for my background
next to it. It's fighting for everything, and it can't get nothing because it just doesn't know how to stand on its own 2 feet.
I'm telling you. Yeah. But the thing is, I drove Lyft all weekend. That's what cracks me up. Like, I drove Lyft because I was trying to drive Uber. And that's the thing about Uber. Uber's going to have a lot of lower tier platforms. Like Sergio said, that's their money. They don't want higher tier drivers. They want lower tier drivers. And that's why they don't allow us to put certain cars on their platform. So we have to go over to Lyft. So all the higher tier drivers are on Lyft, draining Lyft. Because all the lower platform drivers are on Uber, banking up Uber. It's like the inverse, which is probably why Uber does so well, because they're taking really nice cars, making them become basic cars. And especially if a driver can't get on Lyft, they got deactivated for whatever reason, they have to drive that really nice car on basic on Uber, because they won't let them go to the next level up. And that's where all their money is. It's like, it just,
you know what?
Sense.
Hold on. I got to interject something here. For everybody who's watching right now, there is something that we're trying to do on the RideShare Guy. You may have seen it in a couple of posts on our community tab. It's Ask a CEO a question. We're actually going to try to take some of those questions and get them asked to the CEOs of these companies. So Lyft, Uber, Instacart, and DoorDash. So head over to the community tab, put in your questions when it comes to these different CEOs. Any question you can ask. Obviously, some of the questions are not going to be looked at because you can't really necessarily ask people that, but or they're just not going to answer them based on the question itself. But by all means, try going over to the community tab there and put it in, whether it's to Uber CEO, Lyft CEO, to Instacart CEO, or to DoorDash's CEO. Instacart's post is going to come out tomorrow. So if you're on the shopping app and you want to ask a question, head over there and do that, because we're going to try to see if we can get some of these questions answered from those CEOs themselves. So make sure you guys do that. Well,
thank you, Carrot818. So here's the deal. This is directly from the conference call, and this is from Dara Khosrowshahi's mouth. I'm just the messenger, okay? I don't want any hate mail tomorrow, okay? Okay, here he goes. Average drivers in the U.S. grossed $35 per active hour. They're on the platform, okay? That's his number.
Again, play on words.
Bullshit. Anyway, and then he said they have 5.4 million global drivers on the platforms. That's up 30%. You know, we've been talking about this oversaturation, and then he would go say, "Oh no, we need more drivers in Chicago." And then this report says the driver count is up 30%. Why? Economy is bad. People are struggling to make ends meet. They drive. That's it. Easiest way to make cash, right? A few $100 here and there. He said, due to that, surge levels are coming down to less than 20%. I'm like, no shit, because a lot of drivers, there's so much supply that you don't have to put the surge on anymore, right? And then that's why we see no surge even in LA for like sometimes the morning rush hour, which is shocking to me, right?
Yep.
And lastly, they said ETAs, pickup ETAs are down to 4.5 minutes. Now, if there was not 8 Lyft, 8 Uber drivers at every corner of every city, that 4.5 minutes wouldn't be happening. That also means Formica is not declining enough garbage.
There you go.
Formica is taking all this shit, and then their ETAs are down to 4.5 minutes. So there you go. That's the summary of Uber's platforms. That picture that Chris has should be downloadable, so you guys should do this on your cell phones as wallpaper.
Little Lyft.
With the service as a sticker, bro.
Well, let's we talk about the good of Uber when it comes to their earnings report. Now let's look at the abysmal Lyft and the possible probable cause of them actually going to bankruptcy or being bought out or something, unless they do something drastic.
Yeah, and there's nothing happening, bro. This put the nail in the coffin. This put the nail in the coffin. I'm telling you, I'm convinced 30%. Now. I'm convinced by the end of this year, early 2024, Lyft is not going to be by itself. It's going to belong to someone, or something else has to happen.
Yep.
So they Lyft. I listened to Logan Green, John Zimmer, and Teresa Wu, which is their CFO. Bro, they tried to spin it. They came up with one excuse after the other one. So first of all, they said, well, we had to take adjustments on our insurance premiums. As we all know, period 3, Lyft and Uber have commercial insurance when the passenger is in the car. They said their underwriters are brutalizing them. They're charging them so much more money. So they took a $340 million write-down because of insurance premiums going up. So I'm thinking now, what is it? All the shit drivers are on the Lyft platform and all the good drivers are on the Uber platform?
I'm telling you, that's how it's going, man.
No, I think they're all on the same on both platforms, and it's just one operates better and smarter than the other one. Considering the other one is
Don't Lyft still allow like nicknames and crazy stuff like that on their passengers or whatever? Somebody still allows nicknames. I don't like that.
That's coming up.
That's coming up. Yeah.
Why is everything I say coming up? What the hell?
You're reading our minds, bro. You're reading our minds.
I don't know. Ran about drivers, and you got the same questions that other drivers have, and we just are on the same page. So
that means you guys are ahead of the curve, man. Y'all already know what we want to know. What do we want to know? We know.
Well, you have this.
Either way, when it comes down to it, Lyft, they got to do something drastic, and they got to do something drastic fast in order to continue on. Otherwise, they're going to drive it into the ground. And
see, I thought about this with the Lyft business platform. We have all of these millions of drivers driving every day. We're all playing music. If Lyft gets into the streaming music business and force us to stream music, they could be paid for the music that we make and as we drive. It's like we're driving millions of hours, and they should get into the streaming music business. I'm like, you know how much money they can make?
Well, here's the thing. Simply, Lyft could just put a music channel on Spotify, allow it to be on there, like Lyft driver music or something. And just have driver music.
It's money to be made in everything we do. There you go. Yep, just put Lyft Spotify and just select out of the genre you want on the Lyft Spotify channel, and Lyft can be paid millions times over for every driver playing Lyft Spotify, and give drivers like an incentive. For every hour you driving and you're on our channel, whatever, you get X amount of dollars at the end of the week. Man, I play Spotify anyways. I just leave it on Lyft Spotify all day.
Well, that may be coming. See, you may be ahead of Lyft as well. That may be coming because Uber also boasted that we talked about this a couple of months ago. They're starting advertising, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they gross $500 million, and that is a very profitable business on that. And I think they're going to grow immensely. So Lyft is trying to do the same thing. But how about this, Jeff? How about this offer? I become Lyft CEO, you become Lyft CFO, and Chris is the sales and marketing manager. And we all work for like a couple of million a year instead of 20s and 30 millions, right?
Yep.
I think we can run the Lyft down to the ground as well as anybody.
Dude, I would drive a Bentley. I would drive a Bentley every day and pick people up in my Bentley. I'd drive around and be like, hey, they'd be like, wait a minute, this is a Bentley. What did I get? I'm on the basic platform.
we gotta do something. We can run these companies down as well as anybody. So there you go.
Well, exactly. I mean, I know they're still in their restructuring. But the thing is, it's like you got to do something, because if you don't, you're definitely not going to make it out on the other end.
Exactly.
They need to. The biggest thing is, Lyft, if you're watching, there's a couple of things you need to do here if you want to survive. You got to get out of following Uber. You can't be behind the innovator, be behind the innovator. They innovate on a lot of different things. I will give them that. They innovate on different ideas. They use different things, and then you just kind of copy half-assedly at these things as well. You got to come up with your own ideas, your own thought process. There's a lot of great ideas that could potentially work if you played them out correctly. You're not doing that. The other thing too is
too late every time.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing too is, I mean, 2 billion trips. That's a lot of nickel and dimes that they're getting from passengers and riders, drivers when it comes down to it. I mean, I didn't see how many trips they gave that Lyft gave. But you got to get
a quarter, about 480 million, about a quarter of
okay,
that.
So they got 480 million rides to 2 billion. So they've got
it goes with market share, right? Uber has about 77% market share now, and Lyft is about 23% market share. One thing one analyst pushed John Zimmer with, and he couldn't dance around it, but then he said, and this is the biggest problem, and this is what I also see a negative for drivers coming up a little bit. Then it happened actually. Everybody complains, I'm getting all these $3 trips, right? This is what Uber did. Uber figured this out, that they have so many levers to pull. They said, okay, we're going to put the dagger in Lyft's heart one last time. So what Uber did, they started a price war in the middle of the last quarter, okay? So they lowered base fares. So that's why all you drivers are seeing 350s, 340s for ridiculous miles, okay? And instead of Lyft standing their ground, because they're losing market share anyway, they decided to compete with Uber, right? So Uber said 50% of our business is from deliveries. They increased their take rates on deliveries, and they lowered the take rates on the rideshare side. But they lowered the base fare, and Lyft fell for it. And Lyft said, oh, you priced it at $345, I'm going to price it at $344, right? And they got into a pissing race, to the race to zero, which nobody will win, right? So drivers suffered, obviously, because the rates are getting on these trips are garbage. And then Lyft definitely lost that battle, because Uber has so many levers to pull to kill Lyft, and they pulled it, and the Lyft fell for it, and they did price pissing race.
Exactly.
All right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club, with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you'll be notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.